Hello, I am Parneet Jaggi from Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar Government College, Sri Ganganagar. Today I am going to be discussing an important essay of studies written by the famous 16th century prose writer Francis Bacon. Bacon is well known for the universal appeal of his writings, the variety of subjects he writes upon, and his concise and epigrammatic prose style. Francis Bacon was born in London and practiced law in Trinity College. He became a member of the House of Commons and wrote his first political memorandum in 1584 entitled A Letter of Advice to Queen Elizabeth. In 1597, he published his first collection of essays. His career flourished under the reign of King James I, but his life as a politician ended due to his imprisonment. His important literary works are Essays, The New Atlantis, The History of Henry VII, The Advancement of Learning, Novum Organum, etc. Bacon died in 1626 due to bronchitis. Now we shall very briefly touch upon the essay of Studies, in which he talks about the uses, abuses, and relevance of studies. Studies serve for delight, for ornament, and for ability. Their chief use for delight is in privateness and retiring, for ornament is in discourse, and for ability is in the judgment and disposition of business. Now here he begins with the purpose of studies. Studies is not just meant for entertainment or pleasure, but it has multiple roles and purposes for us. So the importance of studies cannot be underrated in our human lives. So the first important purpose of studies is to delight. It gives us joy, pleasure, and delight, and their chief use for delight is in privateness and retiring. When we are by ourselves, when we are secluded and reposed, this is where we extract or derive joy from studies. For ornament is in discourse. When we talk to someone, while we are in a conversation or a discussion, studies can be used as ornamentation of our personality. And for ability is in the judgment and disposition of business. Now, it definitely hones our personality, but it also enhances our proficiency and workability. So, a well-read man will have better judgments and greater knowledge, and it will increase his worth as a human being. To spend too much time in studies is sloth. To use them too much for ornament is affectation. To make judgment wholly by their rules is the humor of a scholar. But then he says there's another side also. It has negative consequences if we indulge too much into studies. Too much indulgence leads to lethargy, sloth, laziness, less productivity. And using studies for too much ornamentation, for affectation, for showing off, it leads one to look too pretentious, too fake and false. And to make judgments completely on the basis of studies, it makes you look eccentric, like a fake scholar or a shallow person or a shallow human being. So excess of studies is also not approved by Bacon. They perfect nature and are perfected by experience. 4. Natural abilities are like natural plants that need pruning by study, and studies themselves do give forth directions too much at large, except they be bounded in by experience. So studies, of course, make a man perfect, but study is itself perfected by experience. So when there is a combination of experience and studies, a man is like pruned, just like we prune and trim our natural plants in our garden. Their natural abilities are enhanced by this kind of a pruning. So similarly, with the help of a combination of studies and experience, we are pruned into better personalities. Crafty men condemn studies. Simple men admire them, and wise men use them. For they teach not their own use, but that is a wisdom without them and above them, won by observation. Now, crafty men is a term used for people who are cunning, who are clever, who are not direct, they're not plain. So they generally condemn studies, they abuse studies. Simple men, the simple innocent folk, they admire studies, they give a great value to studies. And wise men, there is a third category of the wise men who use studies judiciously. They derive wisdom from studies, they combine experience with studies, and then they use them productively to lead an ideal life for themselves. Read not to contradict and confute, not to believe and take for granted, nor to find talk in discourse, but to weigh and consider. Now here Bacon has a suggestion. What is the purpose of reading? What is the purpose of collecting and disseminating knowledge? It is not just to contradict and confute, to debate with others, or to carry on dispute with others. We study not just to say no to others. Whatever they are saying, we have to defy and confute. We have to reject. No. He says this is not the purpose of study. Nor the purpose of study is to believe and take things for granted. We accept things without a reason, without empirically looking into the reality. He says no, that is not the purpose of study, nor to find talk and discourse. The purpose is also not to find gossip, fake talks and discourse, but its actual purpose is to weigh and consider. To weigh the facts, to consider the facts, and use them judiciously in your practical life. Some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. Now, this is how Bacon categorizes the different ways in which we could read books of importance. Books carry importance in different ways. Books have different qualities to them, and we need content according to our requirements. So he says some books are just to be tasted. We just need to have a look at them, a cursory look, or they need to be perused just lightly, while some other books need to be swallowed. So they need to be understood better, and they need to be enjoyed in a better manner than the other books. But then there are some few to be chewed and digested. That means they are to be read diligently, more carefully, meticulously, and to be digested, to be taken inside our minds, to be used. That is, some books are to be read only in parts, other to be read but not curiously, and some few to be read wholly and with diligence and attention. So these are the three categories of books where we need to divide our concentration according to the content and our requirements. Some books also may be read by deputy and extracts made of them by others, but that would be only in the less important arguments and the meaner sort of books. Else, distilled books are like common distilled waters, flashy things. So then there's another kind of categorization Bacon is doing here. He said there's some kind of books where you need an assistant, or maybe an assistant may summarize things for you or take out some extracts from those books and just brief you about those contents. So you may not need the entire study of that book, but that would be only in the less important content, the meaner sort of books. Else, distilled books are like common distilled water. Now here he is making the use of a simile, comparing the distilled books to distilled waters means where the synopsis has been taken out and brief for you, and they are like attractive. Instead of going into the details of the book, we have attractive synopsis like flashy things. So this was a brief overview of the essay for today. We'll continue with the essay in the next lecture. Thank you.